on? What's going on in the economy here? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Glad you guys could make it. Those of you who are going to make it at some point tonight in this live. Yeah, I figured I'd touch upon, what's happening in the news lately. And we all know if we're paying any attention. And if you're not paying any attention, guess what? It's going to affect you somehow, somewhere. That's why it's always good to realize that, what you don't know will hurt you. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fact. Okay. The title says cost more to build, make America expensive again. And those of you who have been paying attention realize what I'm talking about on the wider scale. If you're taking a bird's eye view of what's happening out there, we got these tariff trade wars happening, and it's become almost theatrical, almost comical. And I shouldn't say comical because it's not funny. Some people's businesses and livelihoods depend on these tariffs, or can be severely affected by these tariffs. So I don't want to make light of what's happening out there. But it all depends on your perspective, right? The patriots of the world, the patriots are going to say, well, yeah, we're holding the line. This is what we need. This is the strongest administration out there. They're not taking any crap from anybody. And this is what we need as a nation. I get that, I do get that. But guess what? There's going to be a lot of turmoil and a lot of people are going to lose. Like I said, they're going to lose a lot because a lot of businesses out there are just hanging on by the margins, man. They got very razor thin margins that are, that if prices go above or the costs go above what they had traditionally pay for things, they're done, So, but if you look at it, say from the perspective that, yeah, a lot of things are going to be shaken up, but after the dust settles, we're gonna be that great country again. But guess what? If you're not manufacturing anything, if that's not the end goal of the tariffs, and you're still a service-based country, it's going to go downhill from there. You gotta back those tariffs up with something that's more stable, and that's creating a manufacturing base once again in this country. Okay? If you're outsourcing all the time, and I know it's a global economy and all of that, but what happened to America is that they got so greedy. Yeah, yes, I said it, that they outsourced, right? They outsourced their bread and butter a long time ago, and that's why you're dealing with what you're dealing with right now. And but once again, it's interesting to see how these things play out. With take for instance, with the last major tariff spat between the U.S. and Canada, for instance. Canada, if you don't know, Canada's decided to impose a drastic tariff on its electricity sales to the United States. And yes, we do buy electricity from Canada, okay? And that would have affected, a lot of people in terms of businesses, in terms of the average consumer, the electric bill, all of that. I think it would have went up like $100 or something like that. It could have been more than that. Yeah, and then the U.S. came back with, I think said they're going to double the tariffs on Canada from 25% to 50%, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to reference some articles once again, as I always do, to back up what I'm saying here, because I'm not always, I don't have everything committed to memory, but I just try to give you guys a general synopsis of what's going on out there. But, the United States came back, Trump came back and said, okay, you're going to slap 25% on us. We're going to slap 50% on you for steel imports. And man, that's a lot, and, the contractors over here, the builders will definitely feel that, right? They will definitely feel uh, that from the standpoint of costs going up, material costs, and all that stuff, right? And guess who they're going to pass it on to? They're going to pass it on to you, Jeremy. How you doing, man? Glad to see you. Yeah, I'm by a window, guys. If you hear all that noise out there, sorry about that. But Jeremy, yeah, thanks for stopping in and supporting, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, so yeah, that will definitely affect the builders, contractors, material costs, actually across the board, to be honest with you. And I found that these trade wars, if you look at it from a bird's eye view, can be very, very, very entertaining. But they're not, okay, because they're going to hit you at some point. So let's dive in and look at do some reading here. It says contractors brace for steel and aluminum tariff impacts. Okay, now this was written before this was back last month, actually. So this was this is foreshadowing what happened just a couple of days ago, and it's kind of breaking down the effects of these tariffs on you. So I'm gonna kind of skim through it and kind of give you guys an idea of what's happening out there. Okay, it says construction firms are likely to feel the squeeze within months, right, if the new fees on imported materials take effect in March. Tariffs on steel and aluminum could do more than curb imports. They could put the brakes on construction activity too, which is what I talked about, I think, in a couple of lives ago concerning this. And you have to understand, this is not the first time that the Trump administration imposed tariffs. I think in his last administration back in 2018, he used tariffs. He wielded the weapon, I would say, of tariffs on the global economy. Once again, I forget against who, but as we can see, it's a very effective one. Okay, so this is not the first time this is happening. So it says President Donald Trump signed executive orders on February 10th, implementing 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports into the U.S. effective March 12th. That's just a couple of days ago. The move could have a harmful effect on project momentum. And all that's saying is that if you have projects in the works right now and you have contracts that were signed already, okay, meaning you can't go back and amend these contracts. You're already building, you're doing whatever you're moving along with the project, okay? And these tariffs are imposed. You as a builder or a contractor are going to have to eat the costs. You anticipated, you did not anticipate a rise in costs or material costs. And so that should be a learning lesson right there. Sorry about that, guys. That in the future, I would say as a builder or a contractor, depending on the political climate at the time, you may want to factor in to your pricing, all right, a possible tariff that may come down the pike. I mean, it's almost like, you learn in hindsight. But yeah, I mean, with the volatility of the last couple of years, including, like I said, in many lives, the pandemic, this is similar to that, right? This is a similar shakeup that's going to happen in I would say the supply chain, and you already have the labor shortage, right? And now you have this, okay? So yeah, I mean, I would say consumers and builders should anticipate these things going forth, because this is, like I said, this administration is already in there, locked in for the next 4 years, and it's no telling what else is coming down the pike from an economic perspective in terms of how certain policies will be enacted. We see all kinds of policies being enacted that are shaking up everything. I mean, DEI is being thrown out, all kinds of stuff, right? So these are pretty interesting times. Pretty interesting times. All right, so it says the move could have a harmful effect on momentum. Yeah, like I was saying, if you have contracts that were already signed and locked in place, either you're going to stop building, right, or you're going to have to eat the cost of those rising material prices coming into effect on the 12th of March. And that's really going to either some people are going to be breaking even or taking a loss. So it's always good to have some reserves just in case. It says increased material costs will likely drive up overall costs of construction, which tends to decrease overall demand. Okay. Sectors like commercial buildings, bridges, and residential homes could be impacted. It says data center work and manufacturing facilities may be insulated because of the sheer demand for those. That's interesting. Okay. Why would they be insulated? I guess they're so needed that they may not be affected as much. The size and scope of a project will also determine how significantly it is affected by tariffs. The larger the project, the more impact tariffs could have. Yeah, for example, commercial buildings, multifamily buildings, and government buildings in the planning stage are more likely to be impacted by tariffs as opposed to a single family home that's going to be completed by summer. Yeah, makes sense, right? So I guess in this case, it's kind of good to be the smaller guy, right? Because you're not, the time factor is shorter, to throw up a single family home than to throw up a multifamily building. So if you're in the real estate developer game, if you're a little guy just putting up houses, a contractor just putting up houses, it's interesting to look at that from that perspective because, everybody wants to be the big guy. Everybody wants to grow into the big guy, not seeing that being a big guy has its advantages and being a little guy has its advantages. You can move quicker as a smaller guy, right? You can get out of the pocket quicker. Bigger people, not necessarily so, right? So yeah, there's advantages to both being to both ends of the spectrum. Okay. The type of price volatility could have an impact on project timelines. No kidding. We just talked about that. Many new projects will no longer pencil out, causing an overall reduction in the number of new projects. Owners and developers will be concerned with delays due to supply chain disruption and product shortages, and being gun shy from having just dealt with those issues through the COVID years. Okay. Well, I mean, if you went through the COVID years and you didn't learn your lesson somehow to put away reserves or to stockpile something, then, I don't know what to tell you on that one. So a lot of these people are going to decide to put their projects on hold, right? And may not even return to finishing them. They may be picked up by someone else, right, who can afford to pick it up. And that's just the collateral damage of tariffs. So let's see here. What else can I discuss with you guys? Hold on a second here, people. Hey, Jeremy, I'm at the shop right now, Jeremy. So yeah, feel free to chime in and give me your take on all of this. Okay. Where was I? Let's see here. Okay. Costs will likely increase from these higher material prices that will likely be passed on to consumers. You got to understand, they're going to, you as the consumer, you're always going to be hit the hardest, right? Costs are going to be passed down the line until it hits you, right? The consumer, not the producer, right? And okay. It's hard to imagine a scenario in which these tariffs do not lead to another inorganic surge in market prices for steel construction material. Right. Says when the Trump administration enacted steel tariffs in 2018, U.S. steel imports fell by 19%, while overall steel consumption remained steady. That caused prices for benchmark steel materials to jump 14% in the first year, and it just goes on to quote some more numbers in there. The burden this time around will likely fall on the shoulders of the construction industry. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you're talking about steel, that's where steel is used the most in construction, right? So, yeah, that's where they're going to feel it the most. But guess what? They're still going to pass it on to the consumer. And that's not just steel; that's aluminum. Okay, so anyway, that's what's going on with that, guys. This administration wasn't taking any crap from Canada. You know, either you do what we tell you to do, or these little threats about electricity is not going to work with us. We'll just come back and slap some more tariffs onto you that will really make you think twice, and that's what happened. So he came back, and I think Canada backed down from the electricity surcharge that they were going to impose on the United States, and that's seen as a victory in some circles, that the U.S. came back and didn't just crumble. You know, they held the line and held their ground in this case. And I guess there's something to be said for that. Let's see. Oh, guys. All right. Now to the smaller guys. You know, if you're out there buying tools, or even if you sell tools or hardware or anything like that, you're going to take a hit because, you know, it wasn't just the Canada thing and the U.S. thing. I think this administration imposed tariffs across the board, you know, with China and a lot of other people that import into the United States, or countries that import into the United States. And so you're going to take a hit, right? As a business owner, a small business owner, and as a consumer, right? So, because if, you know, a lot of times these companies are working off very small margins, right? So all it takes is maybe a 10% hit or something like that on your bottom line. And, you know, if you have a lot of inventory, if you have a lot of SKUs, right, that could really tip you over the edge. And it could be a whole different conversation when it comes to, you know, profit and stuff like that. So that's also going on. Let's see. So, you know, you're probably going to lose some customers because, like I said, the consumer is feeling it as well. What can you do as a small business to kind of mitigate some of this, right? You can't control everything. This is the stuff you can't control. You can't control these policies and these decisions from higher up. But what you can do is, I guess, find a way to insulate yourself as much as you can from them, right? So either you're gonna progressively be increasing your prices over time as much as you can within the comfort level of the consumer, that as much as you can without losing that consumer, right? And that comes with building relationships with your customers, right? So that would be more, I guess, easier with a brick and mortar store because you have a more personal relationship with the customer. But I guess if you're an online business, nurturing your customer online, I guess would be another way, through maybe, you know, emails and things like that, and giving them perks throughout the year, and all of that, where you won't lose them, right? You're gonna lose some, right? Because some people they're gonna be like, look, I'm looking for the best deal ever. I'm not loyal to you, or I'm just loyal to the dollar, you know, the lower price. So in order for you to survive as a small business, because of these things you can't control, or these things out of your control, you know, tariffs and whatnot, the best thing is to just start nurturing your customers as much as you can, cutting costs in the business as much as you can, trimming the fat, wherever that is. And that's the only way you're really going to stay afloat, right? So you can kind of see tariffs as the the winds, the strong winds on the ocean that come out of nowhere and can make you sink or blow the boat over, right? What are you doing to secure your boat, right, so that it won't flip over and capsize on you? So this is across the board. I don't care what you're buying, whether it's groceries, whether it's tech gadgets, whatever. If you have a small business, you're going to be affected. So because of the volatility that this administration seems to be bringing to the scene, what are you going to do to survive that? If you survived the last 5 years, especially with COVID and how that shook up the global economy, if you can survive that, you can definitely survive tariffs, right? It all depends on how you prepare. Matter of fact, you should be more prepared, like I said, if you survive that already. But remember, a lot of people voted this into office, and I think a lot of people didn't understand what that would bring, right? But, they say people vote against their own interests all the time. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, guys, anyway, that's my little take on what's happening out there, from a bird's eye view of the latest in the economic world and political world. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm not gonna go too much further on that. Seems like I'm in a war zone here, and I am. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm close to a window. I'm in a new place right now, guys, and the last place I was in, it was on the it was further up. It wasn't on the first floor. I'm on the first floor of this my new place here, closer to the street. So I'm gonna try to soundproof or do something about all of that. But at least it makes it a little bit more lively, right? The sirens and all that stuff. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Thanks for listening. Jeremy, thanks for coming in, stopping by. And I hope you guys got something out of this. Yeah, just just keep an eye on things, right? You may not be paying attention to it. You may not care, but it is affecting you at the cash register. These decisions from on high, they always trickle down to you. So, stay safe out there, guys. Have a good one.